Bogdan Sliwa, David Bronstein, the Immortal losing game. The game acquired its name because Bronstein, in a completely lost position, set a series of elegant traps in an attempt to swindle victory from the lost game. The game started with d4, f5, g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, knight c6, queen d2, d6, h4, e6, castle queenside, h6, bishop f4, bishop d7, e4, f takes e4, knight takes e4, knight d5, knight e2, queen e7, c4. Here, how should black play? Knight takes f4, or knight b6. With knight takes f4, and after knight takes f4, how should black continue? Queen f7, the only move that works for black. However, black continued with knight b6, and this allowed white to play what move? c5, and following d takes c5. Bishop takes c7. Here black trips up again with castle. Whoa, that's a blunder. Because white has what move? D takes c5. Or bishop d6? Yeah. Good move. Following queen f7. Bishop takes f8. Rook takes f8. D takes c5. Knight d5. f4. Rook d8. N2 c3 knight d b4. Knight d6. Queen f8. Knight takes b7. And if rook b8, white has what move? Queen takes d7. The game continued with knight d4. Knight takes d8. Bishop b5. Here, how should white continue? Knight takes b5. Or knight takes b5. Not. Knight takes b5. That's dubious. After queen f5, white is to be very careful, so how should white play? Pause the video if you have to, for this question, because it's make or break time for white. There are two moves that work for white. Knight takes d4. Ends with mate to follow. Right? In 1. Queen takes b4. Also fails with mate to follow. Right? In 1. After knight c3. The game ends with mate to follow. Right? In 2. Knight takes a2. Knight takes a2. With mate to follow. Now how about rook de1? No. This line also ends with mate to follow. Right? In 3. Knight takes a2. King d1. Now it's mate in 2, with what move? Queen b1. Queen c1. Ends with mate to follow. Right? If white continues with b3. Question: how must black play? Queen takes c5. And following knight c3. Knight e2. Queen takes e2. How should black continue? With mate to follow. Right? In 2. Queen takes c3. King b1. And it's mate in 1. Here, instead of knight c3, if white plays king b1, how should black play? Black can draw with what move? Queen f5. King c1. Queen c5. Now that black can draw, the next question is, can black win? The answer is yes, but with what move? Knight takes b5. What is black threatening? Mating with knight a3. So, if queen c1, black has what? With mate to follow. Right? Into. With knight a3. Right? Forcing. Queen takes a3. And black mates white. What else can white try? White has two moves. Bishop d5. And Queen f2. Because after knight takes a2. King d2. Knight takes b5. White's material advantage along with its king being safe after King e1 leaves black with nothing. So here, how should white play? Knight takes b5. Or knight takes e6? We just witnessed the dangers that lurk behind knight takes b5. Here, white continued correctly with knight takes e6. But black's not ready to give up, continuing with bishop d3. To see if white takes the bait, with knight takes f8. Whoa, that's a blunder. Because black has what move? With mate to follow. Right? Into. Knight takes a2. Knight takes a2. With mate to follow. Right? However, white plays bishop d5. Yeah. Good move. No problem. Black has a few more tricks. Queen f5. Knight takes d4. And here, black sets another trap with queen takes d5. Hoping for knight takes d5. With mate to follow. Right? In one. Wishful thinking, white continued with knight c2. Black returns back to the drawing board and returns with bishop takes c3. How should white play? Queen takes c3. Or b takes c3. Knight takes b4. Is playable, but b takes c3. Is much stronger. Queen takes c3. Bad move. Because black has what move? Knight takes a2. Winning the queen. After b takes c3. Black tries just one last trick, with queen takes a2. White has plenty of options, but what move wins? Knight takes b4. Or c takes b4. Knight takes b4. Gives black mate in one. However, white played c takes b4. And black resigned. The end.